The Chimera Ant Arc is definitely a very special arc to many people. While it is definitely flawed, one thing that it completely knocks out of the park is the way in which it handles characters, particularly pertaining to their character development or regression. Today we're going to be speaking about Gon and Killua and how their paths perfectly diverge and inverse with each other as they go through their journey. Gon and Killua have gone through many character progressions as the story has continued, from pushing their limits in the hunter's arena by finally learning Nen, Killua finally choosing his own path and leaving his family home, and the many challenges they face in York New City as they deal with the Phantom Troop. Hunter x Hunter is a great experience, and every single arc builds upon itself, delivering a very unique experience at every single turn. While much happens in these previously mentioned arcs, nothing competes with the amount of personal changes that occur in the Chimera Ant Arc. Now, I definitely have many personal issues with the Chimera Ant Arc, mainly particularly pertaining to the pacing of the show, the over-intrusive narrator, and the overall presentation style, or maybe the lack of choosing visual storytelling. There is a subsequent difference between the way this arc is presented compared to all the ones that came before and even the ones that come soon after. While I have many issues with this arc, I've already made a video on that and you can check that out, the link is in the description. Today instead I'm going to praise how well executed Gon and Killua's rise and fall perfectly inverse each other. Gon falls into the worst mental state of his entire life. On the other hand, Killua rises to a mental acuity level that is genuinely peaceful and serene. These two stages makes these boys reach a brand new level of strength. In this video we'll discuss how differently these two boys react to being thrust into true tragedy and darkness. Gon Freaks, in my eyes, is the definition of the perfect shonen protagonist. A boy who is genuinely kind and brave. While definitely having his own solid goals, he definitely does his best to make a difference wherever he goes. Throughout every single arc, we see Gon tackle adversity and conquer it with his kindness and hard work, or with the help of the dear friends he makes along the way. No other person will be able to bring such a diverse group of people together and have them as close friends. Let's be absolutely honest, guys, just looking at this friend group, like, yo, Leorio, Kurapika, Killua, Gon, like, bro, how does a friend group in the real world actually work or even come together? It genuinely doesn't even make sense. But that's particularly it. Gon Freaks is that beautiful ray of sunshine, and everyone there is drawn to his warmth. So, what happens when such a person is plunged into a place where any sunshine is not only snuffed out, but viciously eradicated? In this arc, Gon is pushed to immeasurable limits, and the death of Kite is the catalyst that I, personally as a viewer, didn't even see coming. To see Gon go to such extreme heights was perplexing and shocking. I'd say the anime was unable to convey to us how strong of a bond or how much reverence Gon had for Kite. But even if you're unsure of how he felt, the consequences and choices he takes throughout this entire series definitely shows you, and because of that death, we see possibly the most impactful moment in Hunter x Hunter history. Even watching that very special scene today fills me with sadness. That ray of sunshine was not used to warm the hearts of the ones he loves, but rather it was used to fall deeper and deeper into darkness. So much that it almost cost Gon everything. Gon's goal to find his father had become completely meaningless. All that turmoil, all that struggle of going through Green Island, all of that struggle to go and become a hunter, all of that meant nothing because all that mattered in front of him was Pito and the death of Kite. From my analysis, there are multiple factors that led Gon to completely fall apart. Gon is a boy who was raised by two women who loved him very much. We also have them to thank for contributing to his genuinely kind nature. While their job was done to the best of their abilities, Jing was not around to provide the vital masculine guidance one must bestow upon their own son. This is a point that is rarely brought up when you consider his actions during the Chimera Ant Arc. His youth definitely plays a strong part in this as well, but the lack of a proper father figure to look up to is an issue that not only plagues modern society, but it definitely is continued and leads to Gon's substantial character progression. In the Chimera Ant Arc, Gon is an emotional wreck. His mental stability that has remained solid throughout the show is now in complete tatters. Before every single challenge he has faced, he's been able to conquer with his strength and his grit. But the difference is, this ordeal has become extremely personal, as this is the first time someone he has deeply cared for has died. He never learned discipline from his father. He never got to learn the importance of emotional control, especially when it matters most. His anger in this entire arc is all but uncontrollable. While anger can definitely be a powerful conduit, he only regains his calm spirit after the entire ordeal ends and almost dies. This is most clear from this example here. Pito has all about killed Kite. His arm flails in the air, and all that stand are vastly out of their depth in terms of strength. Gon's emotions supersede everything as he power up. At this moment, this is where these two boys genuinely diverge, where their mindsets can be clearly stratified. A child throwing a temper tantrum without a clear template to cast his mind to Gon, there was no better way but destruction. This is when the video ultimately diverges and inverses into Killua Zoldyck. And I say his full name intentionally because his family and his overall background is the very basis and foundation for his entire mindset. Now, before we continue, I think it's important that we speak about Illumi's needle because this unfortunately plays a pivotal part in Killua's mindset, or does it? This is the needle that Illumi placed in Killua's head in order to run away when he felt that his life was truly in danger, a self-preservation tactic implemented to the maximum level. While it definitely played a part in his decision-making, Killua discovering the needle and removing it showed that the decisions he made in this arc were truly his own, and that he was not only growing physically but mentally as well. For the first time in his life, he was truly in control of his own path. Even if his life was going to be put in the line, he was going to keep moving forward. In this arc, we can clearly see Gon's mental state deteriorate and Killua's mentality being filled with depth. I want you to cast your mind to the moment when the hunters are ready and prepared to storm the castle. Gon, Killua and Morel are about to be tested if they are combat ready for the next operation. Gon is then tested and sent up to Morel to test if he has the resolve in order to execute the mission. We see Gon completely go into a dark state. I'll be honest, and I'm sure everybody else can agree, if Gon would have landed that punch, Morel definitely wouldn't have made it. But I want you to cast your mind and genuinely analyze Killua. With a simple tap, Killua is able to completely dispel Gon's anger. Unfortunately, the next time they meet though, the gasket containing Gon's anger was blown up a long time ago. Why did Killua act so differently in comparison to Gon? While Killua had no personal relation to Kite, even if they were to switch roles, I still believe that he would maintain a relatively reasonable demeanor. Why do I think that? While the Zoldyck family itself has its very own set of issues with the very strange way they handle Aluka and Illumi, it's a very strange situation. But considering the circumstances, the grandfather, father and Killua themselves seem to be the most normal out of that entire bunch. They definitely are outside the norm as they make their very own living by killing people. But that difficult upbringing made Killua who he is in this very situation. He not only had one, but two masculine figures to look up to. Alongside his assassin training, Killua is a boy who has a social acuity level well above his age. His understanding of the human anatomy, human nature, his sharp decision-making, emotional control, social acuity show how important your upbringing and how much your background can affect your decisions, especially in your youth. His logic was the main factor for every single decision that he took in the entire arc. While his emotions may not have been stoked as much as Gon, what the ants did to the humans is enough to make anybody's blood boil. By the end of the arc, it's easy to see that Killua has a maturity and mentality much above his age. Gon and Killua beautifully show how much your upbringing and mentality can dictate the decisions one makes every single day. While I'm sure that Gon will certainly mature and learn from his monumental mistakes, it was interesting to see that Killua was finally the one showing the way forward. Gon in the earlier part of the show showed Killua how to become a good person, how to be a child. By the end of everything, Killua showed Gon what it means to be a man. Hunter x Hunter is a show that I'll never forget, and hopefully Togashi is able to complete his story. After Kentaro Miura's untimely death, I hope that the world doesn't get the unfortunate experience of not finding out the conclusion to this great tale.